Hi everybody, my name is Sarah Antoinette and I'm a writer originally from London. Now, I feel very strongly, as I know so many people do, about the endless decimation of our history, our culture, of the woke movement, which cropped up in the last couple of years and seems to think it has a right to endlessly insult everything that makes Britain Britain, and to constantly attempt to divide people based on skin colour and ethnic background and all of that stuff. The kind of thing we're all really sick about. The kind of thing we hear in the media on a daily basis. The kind of thing that really gets under our skin because we feel like we're not being listened to, and no one, not in government, not the mainstream media, they're not really listening to how the majority of people feel. It's very frustrating. Now, every now and then a story comes along where you just can't help but laugh at the absolute ridiculousness of it. Now, yesterday there was a article that I stumbled across, which I would advise anyone to go and read if you just want to have a laugh. I mean, yes, perhaps you may get a little bit upset because of it, because this kind of thing can be quite upsetting because of the disrespect. But at the same time, it's so ludicrous that you just can't help but laugh, to be honest. Now, I'll just read you the headline of this article that I came across. Yes, Minister and the thick of it, listed among satire programmes flagged by the Counter-Terror Prevent Scheme for encouraging far-right sympathies. It said the works of fiction were key texts for white nationalists and supremacists. So, in other words, this Counter-Terror Prevent Scheme have listed all these books and all these television shows as being troublesome for society because they are encouraging white supremacy and white nationalism and the far right. Now, the headline alone is enough to make you think, what? But then you read on and you see the books and the TV shows that they are referring to, and it blows your mind, really. I mean, first of all, it's a taxpayer-funded document. In other words, it's the taxpayer, it's us who are paying for this, and I don't know how this type of thing manages to become a taxpayer-funded thing. It doesn't make any sense to me. So we've got Lord of the Rings. So apparently Lord of the Rings could potentially elicit far-right sympathies. I don't know how personally. I don't know. Who would it offend? How is it offensive? Who is it going to? What kind of uprising are we looking at? We look at elves, dwarves, they're going to rise up, take over Middle England. Who knows? Oh, Prevent, no, obviously, because they listed it there. We've got Brave New World and 1984 by two very great writers. Now, it's not a big surprise that those two are in there because they basically predicted the future, didn't they? What they wrote in their books is pretty much happening now. Everything's being controlled. Everything you say is monitored. Our freedom of speech is under threat. It's just the way it is. So no wonder those two are in there. Now we've also got The Great Escape and The Dam Busters. This one I didn't like at all because these are two World War II films. One, The Great Escape, which highlights the the prisoners of war who broke out of a Nazi camp, and it tells the heroism of these men who were fighting for this country, who were fighting against the Nazis, the real far right, and the Dam Busters, which showed the brilliance of the RAF against Hitler, and 70% of Dam Busters died in that raid. Now, why are they listed? Why are these films, which highlight the bravery and the courage of the men in World War II, being listed as provoking far-right sympathies? That is pretty disgraceful. I would like to know what the logic is behind that, by this Prevent scheme. We've got The Secret Agent by Joseph Conrad, one of the greatest writers of English literature. Now, this Secret Agent was about the first time that anyone had ever written about a terrorist bomb in London. Now, who in the world is going to be offended by that? I mean, is it going to offend terrorists? Again, what's the logic behind that one? And of course, we've got the complete works of William Shakespeare. Where do you even begin with that? Where do you even start with that one? And Great British Railways. Apparently this is of interest to the far right. Now I wonder how Great British Railways is going to provoke white nationalists. Very curious to know about that one. Yeah. So yeah, that's the kind of thing we are looking at. That is the kind of thing that we're reading about in the media. It's the kind of thing that apparently the taxpayer is funding. It would be great to know from someone in government how that nonsense managed to get paid for by the taxpayer. But you know, on a serious note, it does highlight how absurd things have become. It again highlights the rampant racism that these types of organisations are promoting, because essentially calling everybody who doesn't subscribe to your views and who doesn't happen to be a far left, woke, far right is basically telling the average person, the ordinary British person, that you're a far right racist. How are people supposed to respond to that? How do you even define far right? Do they not think for 1 second that by calling everyone, you know, with a grain of common sense, far right, that's not going to go down very well? It seems to never really register, does it? So that's just something I wanted to highlight. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. I think that at the end of the day, it's funny because it is so ridiculous, but it is another symptom of a deeper problem, one that we've really got to, I think, do more about, speak out about. We've got to expect more from our government to do something about it. We can't keep tolerating the complete disrespect towards our history, towards our culture, towards our TV shows, our literature, all the things that make Britain, and things that all of us, irrespective of our skin colour and ethnic background, are very, very proud of. So those are my thoughts on the matter, and yeah, go and have a read of the article and have a good laugh, because that's all it deserves.